G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer. It's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but of course I have to share the microphone with my two idiot mates, so let's welcome them in. First off, Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, Exalted One.
BP.
G'day.
How are you, bud?
I'm good. We're a sporting show. We're a sailing show, obviously, but we do like sport. I'm going to say one word, cricket. Not the hugest fan, but yesterday I decided to turn it on and watch.
Oh, yeah?
It's the Ashes, and it's sort of fitting because today we do have a pom on.
Oh, no. That's not fair.
Oh, it is, because they were all out in the first day. It's pretty fair.
Oh, man.
First ball, one for none, eh? Loved it. No, look, it's just having live sport again. That's all I'm trying to say. We're back into the live sport mode, and it's great to see spectators at games.
All I'm going to say, BP, is with Sail GP turning up in Australia this week, I did get a couple of emails last night from some Pommy-based friends who are part of Sail GP coming, and they've already said they're not necessarily going to get on the plane after yesterday's start. So
anyway, no, it's all about sport. That's what it's about.
Righto. Well, let's bring in the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Not fair, you say?
I just...
Bit rich coming from Mr. Inappropriate. Anytime you could get the clause in.
Don't know who you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
G'day, gents.
G'day.
We're ramping up, ready for the serious silly season in Sydney coming up, of which you mentioned, Jordan, Sail GP, which is going to roll straight into the Hobart.
Yep.
So
massive.
Yeah, it's going to be hot on the docks in Sydney. So we're all looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing the Sail GP. We'll chat a little bit about that later on what that looks like. And I've got despite having an Englishman on the show, I do have a theme for hot topics a little later. Okay. So stay tuned, especially all those K1W ones out there.
All the K1s.
Fair enough. Cool. All right, well, should we bring in our special guest? Kind of fired up about this one?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, great.
Finger on the pulse.
Great. So for regular listeners of the show, they know that we're quite keen on the Ocean 50, the pro sailing tour that's been going on. And we've been wanting to talk about it a bit. The dominant boat in the Ocean 50, the pro sailing tour, has been the Leighton crew, led by Sam Goodchild. Sam has been on the show before, episode 62, if you want to go back and find a bit of that history. But we have decided that we really want to see what's been going on, know a lot more about all this stuff. So we've asked him to come back on the show and join us. So welcome back, Sam.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. Sorry, I don't know a thing about cricket, so I'm not going to be able to follow the Ashes chat. But I just had a look to see what was happening, and it sounds like it's not going that well. So I'll claim to be French for this one.
How convenient.
Yes. I like it, yeah. A pommy that doesn't know anything about cricket.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have many French friends to talk cricket about, let's put it that way.
Yeah. I was just thinking...
No worries. We'll let that one roll.
I can tell you, Sam, if we'd got wiped out in the first day, there wouldn't be a mention of the word cricket. I guarantee it. So
100% not. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even follow the game.
No, that's right. That's right. There we go. For the overseas listeners, non-Aussie, who don't really understand it, it's really important to understand if cricket is the Ashes between Australia and England. It's the highest. It is the biggest thing in the game of cricket for Australia and England. There's no doubt about it. And the Poms do this amazing thing where they send their spectators over, and they're called the Barmy Army, and they sing and they drink and they have a grand old time. They come to Australia, they get sunburnt, they try and shag Australian chicks, and they just... they have a lot of chants, which are really, really cool. And the Australians we just don't have anything to come back at them with. But it's very funny if you ever get to go to an Australian cricket game against the Poms. there's a lot of humour in the crowd. It's very, very funny. Worth the time.
And actually, sorry to kind of hijack here a little bit, mate, we need the equivalent of the Barmy Army in this stadium racing that's taking place these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the trumpet out, or I might get the old trombone out.
There you go.
I've got
a few
I've got a
tunes
snare drum.
down the dock in Port Adelaide here at the Champions League.
I'll bring the snare drum. The snare drum, I can,
But you're right. It is, and it's smart humour. It's very good. It's all in good taste. So on to our guest.
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry, Sam, we are going on a bit. But for the non-Australian, non-English listeners, this game goes for 5 days. So there you go. Okay,
Right.
Here we go.
Okay, so for those who didn't listen to Ep138, Sam, he got into his sailing by basically your folks. It must have been it was on a world tour, wasn't it? And you were born, thrown onto the yacht at a few weeks of age, lived on a boat for 8 years, and then just up through the academy, part of the Artemis Offshore Racing Academy, started out with Alex Thompson's team as a nipper, did an ocean crossing with him, and everything sort of started from there. That's about the quick summary. Have I got it right?
You've done your homework, yeah. You nailed it, I think, near enough.
Yeah, I don't remember what day your mum and dad conceived you. I can't remember what was going on that night, but
but the rest you're all over. Copy.
Autumn Wikipedia, Spencer. You're welcome.
Do you feel you had a choice when it came to sailing, mate, or you know, it was just you just were there? It was always in your life.
I mean, I definitely had a choice. My sister's become a doctor and lives in your part of the world. So is my brother. Actually, he's not a doctor, but he's something else, and they haven't become sailors at all. So I definitely had a choice. And even when I just suggested to my parents I was going to go work for Alex Thompson and help him get ready for Vendée Globe and not go to university, my parents were pretty against that. So they discouraged me from going sailing to begin with, and then realised that it wasn't such a stupid idea.
Okay.
Now they're quite proud of me. It took a few years to convince them that, but.
So you were.
It's definitely paid off, Sam. It's definitely paid off, Sam, because you are in the elite of the second episode Barkarati people. So you've done well.
Yeah, that's my mark of I've made it.
So yeah, you could just pass that on to your parents, actually. But Sam, so where were you living in the UK when you announced you'll be heading off to the Alex Thompson School of Sailing, so to speak?
But I went to boarding school. My parents, I grew up in the Caribbean after we moved off the boat, and then I went to boarding school in the middle of England, miles from anywhere, where I was sailing in a reservoir. And then I was part of the actually an academy. It wasn't the Artemis one; it was another academy. It was a keelboat academy in the UK. And Alex Thompson's team, or Hugo Boss, came up to them and said we want to offer some spots on our Volvo 60 doing a world corporate tour. They came and did the Sydney Hobart 10, 15 years ago, whenever it was, 2007, 2008. Yep. And so that's kind of how we got into it. So I met the team, and then, as we all know in sailing, it's the contacts you have helps you get a long way, and it's people you meet on projects like that just open up doors, and then I was lucky for that to kind of lead on to other things.
Fantastic. No, so what I was kind of alluding to, I could just imagine the conversation with your parents. Mum, Dad, I'm moving to Gosport. Then I could really see why they would have been against it. But to actually put on your sea boots, start travelling around the world, being part of a world tour with Alex and the 60 and all the stuff that they did, that is literally putting your toe in the water and going for it. And like you say, opening up all those doors.
I do have to ask one question though, Sam, about your childhood. Your folks are living in the Caribbean, and you're living in the Caribbean, and then they send you to boarding school in England. Like, what did you do wrong?
There was a hurricane in 2004, which destroyed most of the island and all the schools. So I didn't have a lot of choice. And they weren't actually that keen on boarding school. And I met a friend that had been to boarding school, said it was great. And I was like, how about this? And I hadn't thought about that. Let's give it a go.
Okay.
So how old were you then? How old were you? 8.
He did it to himself.
Ah. There you go.
I love it. Oh, well, that's cool. So then I guess for you, with this, where you've got to now, like, did you have an idea, or you sort of initially when you started doing this stuff, say with Alex and doing the corporate stuff and then onto the Figaro and a few things, did you have sort of any idea of the pathway that where you were going to end up, or you were just doing everything you could get your hands on?
The pathway, no, not at all. I guess my aim has been Vendée Globe. That's kind of what I'm driven by, setting myself challenges that seem impossible and then figuring out a way of doing them. So aim has kind of been to do the Vendée Globe, and I like being competitive as well, and being working on the performance side of things, not just being an adventurer, like go sail around the world. As an adventure doesn't really appeal to me, but doing it as a race and trying to beat the guys around you appeals to me. And as far as finding competition adventure, there isn't much bigger than the Vendée Globe in our sport. So I was kind of driven by that. And then I guess all my decisions along that line have been, how can I put myself in a good position to do that, in terms of experience, in terms of projects, in terms of, now I live in France. It was a large part. Well, the only reason I made that decision was because this is where offshore sailing happens. And so kind of that's been the target, or the carrot, if you like, a long way down the line, which I haven't got to yet. And all the decisions around that, every time I reach a crossroads, do I make this decision or that decision? It's what's going to put me in a better position to win the Vendée Globe.
Yeah, right.
That leads to a lot of different things, apparently.
Apparently.
But not yet a Vendée Globe.
Yeah, well, that's right. How are you going to get there? I suppose we shouldn't. I don't know. I don't want to get. I'll ask that question more delicately, without giving anything away, or potential negotiations that are ongoing with sponsors and stuff. Have you sort of worked out a pathway that you're going to get there, or that's just you're still trying to find it?
No, there's nothing written in stone. I've been talking about trying to get to the Vendée Globe for 15 years now. Yep. I'm still talking about it today and still chatting to people who I'm around, what's around, and that includes Leighton because they're the biggest sponsor today, but there is nothing written in stone. There's nothing about to be announced. There's nothing there, but that aim and that ambition to go to the Vendée Globe has not changed and will not change as far as I can see. And I mean, Vendée Globe in the Waka world is completely crazy at the moment. So there's a lot of stars to get aligned to make it happen, but I mean that thought process of ambition, win the Vendée Globe, which involves being on the start line, but also being capable of running one of those boats and one of those programs in a competitive manner and having the budget to do it, and even just the people to do it, takes a lot of stars to line up. So no, I haven't got the answer today, but I've got an awesome project today, which is really cool on the Ocean 50 and with Leighton. So
yeah, well,
I kind of keep that carrot at the Vendée Globe. I need to get there, but at the same time, you need to not forget about what actually the cool opportunities I've got today and make the best of that. And honestly, sailing single-handed on a trimaran across the Atlantic is scary enough as it is.
No question. We'll come on to the Ocean 50, but there's just one question I want to ask. I know BP's chafing at the bit to jump in, but before we get off that Vendée Globe element, of the boats sailing currently in the fleet, which one would you take if you were going around the world? The current fleet. That's the one. That's what I want to know. Which boat do you want?
I mean, it's difficult to know exactly without being in the world full time. But I mean, Advans, which just won, and Apivia seem to be a little bit of a level above the rest. And Hugo Boss is a bit of an unknown because it hasn't really had Alex's way of preparing his way of preparing was kind of in his own corner, do his own thing, and when he comes out, he's all guns blazing. But because he had to drop out the Vendée and the Jacque Vabre, and he didn't do the Jacque Vabre this year, it's a bit of an unknown. But it's a boat which on the paper is very interesting. Especially when you look at how the Vendée Globe turned out the last time round. But I mean, those three boats are probably or two boats are leading, and then that third boat is a little bit of a question mark.
Well, that's on a Swiss lake now, isn't it? The old the Alex Thompson boat's just gone to Switzerland, I think.
It's sitting on the dock next to my boat, actually. But yeah, it's got a Swiss skipper with Alan Moore.
I knew it wasn't on a lake. All right. Sorry, BP. I just wanted to get that question out, but
No, all good. I just wanted to sort of touch on the fact that Sam, you've really, you're at the top of your game. There's no question with what you're doing with the Ocean 50, and I wanted to keep on the Vendée theme a little bit before we do go on the Ocean 50's path. You're not going to do this half-hearted. That's the thing. Now, the hardest part about any campaign is the level in which you see yourself doing it. You're pretty tough on yourself, I would say, but by the results you've got over the last year. Do you think that that is the hardest part, knowing that, you don't want to be out there just participating. You want to be out there to give yourself a proper go. It's a big world, the Amoca world, and is that part of the sort of hardest part? Because we're all about pathways here, and people obviously would love to do the Vendée, but there's more to it than just doing the Vendée, especially in your case.
I mean, it's a question I ask myself a lot, to be honest. Like, you see people like a Romain Antonezzo or a Tanguy Delamotte who go and buy an old boat and be like, I'm just going to get on the start line, whatever it costs, whatever it takes, and then I'll figure a way. And now they're in. Tanguy stepped out of his project, but he set up a project which is now building a brand new foiling boat for the next Vendée Globe. Romain Antonezzo has just bought a foiling boat, which is a decent one, the old Malaysia.
Right.
And so is that the pathway to go? Do you take the hit and the investment and saying, okay, I'm going to go do 4 years, 8 years of a campaign, which I don't find perfect, but it gets you in the limelight, it gets you in front of sponsors, it builds your project, a base to build from.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you do what I'm doing at the moment, which is try and keep the sort of campaign you want, which is a competitive campaign, one where we can, what we're trying to do, we're doing it well, but it's not big enough. It's not a big enough project to be a Vendée yet. And at the moment, I like what I've got because you keep that element of performance and quality and trying to keep it not just start line at all costs with your buddies sleeping in a van and eating lentils. But maybe we'll evolve. That will evolve. Maybe in 10, 15 years time, I'll be like, look, this hasn't worked for me. I just need to get to start line go and I'll put the performance on the back burner for a bit and just priority to get the start line. But at the moment, I've kind of had great opportunities one after another for the last few years, and I've got an awesome project today. And if we can build it into a Vendée Globe project with Leighton, then that'd be great. But it takes time and resource, basically.
Yeah, I guess the pathway is the question, and that's what we're all about here. We always talk about it. I mean, a perfect example we just touched on a second ago is Alan Rauer. I mean, he's done that exact thing. He's built a brand around himself in the Amoca world, and he's done what he's done. But in your case, obviously, you're doing the same thing, but keeping your name in the spotlight, which is probably an important thing as well.
Yeah, it's different ways of doing it. At the moment, I'm enjoying the opportunities I got and what I've got, and we'll see where it goes to. We got contract with Leighton through to the end of the route to Rum, and discussions are ongoing as to what the future can and will be, but nothing is decided yet.
Cool.
So, Sam. Then this is probably where we can segue into the 50 side of things. So first question, what is the difference between a current program that you're undertaking or a 50s program to be at that Vendée level from a monetary point of view? Are you 25% there, 50% there? Is it just the next step, or you just literally to have a successful Vendée campaign, you need 80% more?
It's a difficult question to answer, partly because Leighton don't communicate how much they invest into sailing. They ask us not to. Yep. And also because I think Amoca world is evolving rapidly. I mean, word on the street is a campaign the last time round, a competitive campaign was 3 million a year. I would not be surprised if that's more for the next one. And because there's so many boats being built, so many new teams, big teams, it's a bit of an arms race. So if you come in with 4 million or 5 million, we're talking euros here, sorry. Yeah. It's not going to be money wasted. You're going to find somewhere to spend it to turn that into speed or performance or preparation or reliability.
Or one set of fours.
Or a set of fours, however you want to do it. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, but we're, I
know, and I'm sure, well, you're obviously very aware of this. Working with Mark Turner, he was always talking about this pyramid that exists in France, and how the sponsors can go up or down depending on their desire at the times. So I guess there's a bit of an element of being in the right place at the right time with the right sponsor as well, right? And doing what you're doing kind of keeps you there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the other thing that's being chucked into the mix now is the whole idea of qualification and places on the start line. Vendée Globe just announced 40 places. I feel like for the last 2 weeks, every day I've learned of a new project or a new boat or a new thing that's coming up, and before the start, we counted 45 potential teams already, and like there's new ones coming. Like it's just completely crazy stuff.
Wow,
that adds a whole other thing to it. Like you find a sponsor, okay, we're going to put €5 million down a year to go do the Vendée Globe. Okay, well, hopefully we'll have a spot to do it then.
Yeah. Wow, that's insane.
Sorry, I didn't make the cut.
It actually feels a bit like my golf club the other day announced that they're at full tilt with their membership. No more members for the next 12 months. No, like that it is now an exclusive club to do the Vendée. I'm not saying I'm at the exclusive golf club, but there is that element there, right?
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. It's nuts, and I mean, it'd be interesting to see how it pans out because I mean, the last Vendée Globe, this whole chat was happening as well. They said, there's only 30 spots on the start line. There's 35 projects. How are we going to do it? What's going to happen? And then Vendée Globe said, okay, we'll open up 33 spots or something, and then 3 projects dropped out and they ended up with 32 boats. So it sorted itself out on its own. But so it'd be interesting to see how it turns out for 2024. But
yeah,
something to be careful about anyway. You don't want to burn a sponsor by pushing them to something which ends up being a dead end.
There's a couple of things that need to be said. One, first, clearly you're not part of an exclusive yacht club, golf club, Bicey, because they wouldn't let you be a member, right? So,
you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Two, I think you're a very smart man, Sam. One thing I've noticed, and this is where I think you've been particularly smart. You've been living in France since 2014. I just want to... So you're becoming part of the French culture there. So they sort of... They'll forget that you're not French at some stage. How long do you have to live in France before they will send a fishing boat out to stop you if you're winning? That's or change the rules. Like, I mean, are you noticing a difference because you've got this huge network? It's basically home for you now, or is that...
I feel like my whole life I've been a foreigner. You grow up in the Caribbean as a white kid from England, you're a foreigner. Yeah. You turn up in England at 15, having grown up in the Caribbean, you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
And you turn up in France with as an English accent of an English passport. They're not going to call you French forever, I don't think.
No.
So I think I'm bound to be a foreigner for the rest of my life.
You must be sort of half there now, though, like a frogette or something. Like, I don't know what the term is, but you must be feeling that you're actually being able to open these doors, and that maybe I
could see Bicey's cogs are turning.
Is it a roast frog?
Roast frog.
Yeah. Roast beef?
Boof.
Froggy?
Boof. I hear what you're saying though, Jordan, because and Sam, you absolutely agree that sailing in France is a whole different animal, and being a part of that is massive. I guess that's where Jay's going with it. The acceptance it takes a long time to get inside that circle. I guess is what we're trying to find out here.
No, it's a bastard question though, BP, because if Sam answers it, then he might upset some people. So I think Sam's been very clever in not answering it. So and we're not going to push him.
To be honest, I've from day one I turned up in France, I've felt pretty welcome.
Cool.
Where you struggle is the language barrier.
Yep.
Which is no surprise there. And you learn, like now I'm learning stuff which 10 years ago I would have learned having a coffee with a Jan Elias or an Armand Leclerc preparing Figaro's, and all of that just goes straight over your head. Now you realise how much you miss in all the non-official chat.
Yes.
And when someone translates the debrief for you, or you put an email in Google, you learn some stuff. But it's when you go have a coffee, or you bump into someone in a car park where you learn the interesting stuff.
Yeah,
sure. But to be honest, I've never really felt, and even like people are like, you turn up in Pole Finisterre, they don't like people out of Finisterre, so an English person, forget about it. But honestly, the amount they've supported me throughout the years, I honestly have got nothing bad to say about them. I've never really felt like someone's trying to put sticks on my wheels saying, no, he's English, we're not going to help him.
No.
The only thing is just and not just being that to flatter the people in France, but honestly, it's something that gets talked about a lot, is how French people aren't very open to foreigners. But if you come and you make an effort,
yes,
honestly, the overall feeling is very positive.
Yeah,
that is the key point there. Get there, make an effort, immerse yourself, and I guess that's the point we're talking about here as well, because there are lots of budding people who see the scene in France and go, how do I get into that? So it can be done. You just got to get over there and do it.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon we. I desperately want to ask a question about these Ocean 50s.
Yeah.
I thought when I look at the boats, like we all love sailing boats, but when I look at the Ocean 50s, I reckon they're a damn fine looking little boat, and I thought, those would be fun to sail, but. Then with a bit of retrospect and thinking about how you got to sail them, they must be a very difficult boat to sail across an ocean.
Yeah, I mean, like all sailing, sailing's easier. Doing it well is difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I figure you got to spend the whole time on one hull, so to go fast effectively. So you've been sailing them pretty well, though, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I got used to sailing the old teams with Sedebo, where you go fast flat, which means you're never scared about flipping over. And like you say, with these boats, the more you get the middle hull out of the water, the faster you go. So it kind of turns the safety levels up a notch. But I mean, it's been a pretty cool class to learn, to be honest. I did 3 or 4 years on Mod 70s with the Fado project, and Lloyd Thornburg's team he'd set up with Brian. And there's a lot of things I learned from that and the project they built, which come over onto this boat, which is interesting. I mean, the biggest learning curve for me is doing it short-handed.
Just for the uninitiated, with the Ocean 50, could we perhaps get a little bit of an overview of the boat itself, where it came from, and what, because there's a lot of people out there who listen to this show and, go, an Ocean 50, what is that? Can we get you to just to describe the boat a bit in detail?
Yeah, so it's a box rule, 50 foot long, 50 foot wide. The mast is 24 meters high. I'm changing units here, but 3.5 meters deep. The boats are restricted in what you can build them in. So the beams and the longitudinals and the hulls are in carbon, and the rest is in fiberglass, just as a cost saving measure. We've got one design foils and no elevators on the rudders or the dagger board. And that's about it. I think there's probably there's 7 active boats today. There'll be an 8th one next year. And apart from that, there are no other boats on the circuit. Apart from another one, which apparently might be being bought and refitted, but they have to retrofit foils in. What else is there to know? There's 2 new boats which were launched last year. The boat I've got is a VPLP design, launched in 2017 for a private owner. Got campaigned 2 or 3 years on private owner level, and then got brought in by Leighton last year. Yeah. We haven't bought it, we've charged it. And so it's kind of the first year this boat has been a bit more professionally campaigned. And we've got one other sister ship on the circuit, which is the blue boat Solidaire en Peloton with Thibaut Rochelle. Yes, I mean, it's a cool little class. It's probably suffered a little bit in the last 15 years of the hangover of almost 60s and how that ended badly.
Yep.
In the Route du Rhum in 2002, 2006. I can't remember. Anyway, the Route du Rhum where 18 started and 2 finished.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've been working hard kind of in the background as to have a class which is sustainable and not too dangerous. The question I ask myself is that the more the class builds, the more professional it becomes, the more the boats get pushed, the more they break. How do you stop yourself getting into that snowball effect of where the Orma's got to? And at the moment, it's under control, and hopefully they can keep it that way.
What are the safety levels, Sam? Do you feel comfortable? Like, I was jumping off the Mod 70, which arguably that's quite on the edge.
I mean, a mod is super safe compared to an Orma or something. I mean, like all trimarans, to be honest, like it's you can flip it over if you want to. If you don't put a reef in early enough, or or you push it a bit too hard down a wave on one hull, like it's going to go over, like however it's built. We haven't got there yet, but the boat, I mean, in the last 10 years, there's probably been 3 or 4 capsizes in this class, so it's not that far away, and you're definitely on edge a bit when the conditions get a bit gnarly. But so far we're upright.
I think it's really important to point out you sail 2 up as well, so this class is double-handed, so it's brutal sailing because you are actually having to respond a lot more and be manually sailing. But
yeah, I mean, the Jacque Vabre we just did. It's the first time I've crossed Atlantic double-handed on a trimaran, and there's a lot of things which I didn't expect to be like they were, to be honest. Like, so obviously sailed this whole year fully crewed. I've done mod sailing fully crewed, and you're like, oh well, they'll just be about the same, won't it? But there's a lot of things which were quite new and quite a bit. It's been a good learning process, put it that way.
That's interesting, I reckon, because the pro sailing tour is fully crewed, and then the TJV is the double-handed approach.
Yeah.
It must be like, from a sailing mentality perspective, how you approach the two. I wonder if you just go in initially into the TJV thinking, like you just said, everything's just going to be the same, and then suddenly, hang on, it's not all the same, and do you slow the boat down a little bit, or do you just keep pushing as hard as you can, or what's your mentality, and how did it change with the TJV?
The biggest difference was when you're sailing fully crewed, you've got someone trimming the whole time.
Yes.
Basically. And you've got someone driving the whole time, someone trimming the whole time. Suddenly you're double-handed and you've got to put the pilot on, you've got to trim, but you can't trim everything all the time. And so you're looking at boat setups which are very different, which are much more like, want to go 95% of the pilot all the time with the pilot on. We don't want to go 100% because 100% when badly trimmed becomes 80, and then you haven't got anything which is steady. So that, a boat setup was quite interesting. And the other thing which I really didn't expect was working with a weather person on land.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a weather router on land. So your navigator is basically sitting inland in their office, navigating you, and that's quite weird. And we had Marcel Van Triest doing it, who's a legend.
Yep.
So it doesn't need introducing. So you've got this guy that's extremely experienced, that's got loads of stuff to teach you, but he's not on board, so he can't see what the guy that's 200 meters to windward of you who's just tapped into a cloud and going 5 degrees higher, or the I don't know, a cloud in front of you, or the glassy patch to leeward, or like he doesn't see any of that. So you can't 100% rely on him, but you're not going to tell Marcel Van Triest, no, I'm not going to attack when you want me to, going in attack later. You don't know what you're talking about. So that was quite an interesting dynamic to get to used to as well.
It's cool. It's cool. Well, before we go into the TJV, I just wouldn't mind just talking about, because you won the Pro Sailing Tour. For those that don't know, the 21 edition was 4 episodes. I guess it's like 3 or 4 days of sailing. It's like a bit of a tour. Sailed fully crewed. You had a pretty good team from memory. You've had a few people come through. So I think the Metro sisters were part of your team. Francois Morvan, Jacques Butel, the new father.
Yeah.
Sebastian Joss, Thomas Covell. That's an interesting one. You and Thomas are good mates, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was quite fun to get Thomas to come sailing with us, get us on the boat, and he obviously doesn't need an introduction multi-hull sailing, but he brought a lot in this to, like, he was where I am today 20 years ago, with his almost 60 and a bunch of buddies just trying to figure out how to make it work and how to set up a campaign. So he actually gave us quite a lot in terms of how do you make the dynamic of a team and a trimaran like that work, and obviously on the technical side of sailing, he's all over it as well. So, but yeah, just on the Pro Sailing Tour quickly. So it's a new organizer that's come into sailing, which is quite cool. They don't know anything about sailing. They just got kind of like, well, that's cool. Let's set that up. They've set up this company, and one of the guys that set up is like a Caesar-winning documentary guy. Yeah. And his idea was to set up the sailing program and make a documentary on it. So every time we went sailing, we all had voice sets on and a media man on board. And they're going to come out with a documentary series in February.
Fantastic.
Apparently it'll be translated in English. Awesome. We're going next week to see the first show of the first episode to validate it in terms of a sponsor and a skipper that we don't look like idiots.
Yep.
So that's quite cool. They changed the name of the class. It's Ocean 50. It was Multi 50. And they've set up this new pro sailing tour, of which there were 4 episodes. The first 3 episodes, there's a 24-hour race, which is 3 sailors, 1 media man, 24 hours around wherever you are, Brest, La Rochelle, Canaries. And then the weekend is inshore racing, so you got 45-minute to a 2-hour coastal race. You then do 4 a day, so you end up with 4 inshore races, 1 offshore race with a coefficient of 3, and you have a winner at the end of each event. And then the 4th event, the final one, was a 1-week offshore race. So it's 3 sailors, 1 media man from south of France through Gibraltar and back into Brest, north of France. So that's the format, just to make sure everyone's got the same picture.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So driven by this doco, which we're all super keen to see, but there's a bit of a theme here, Sam. Your last campaign, Open 40, Narcos were behind it.
Yeah,
that's a doco, isn't it?
It's the documentary. Yeah.
I'm watching it at the moment.
It's a little bit of a different type of documentary, I'd imagine.
I haven't seen any sailing.
That you don't want to get fully involved in. But no, that sounds cool. And it's another spin on the whole thing. Obviously, the new owners can see the potential there, right? And to make it go live, out to the masses.
Yeah, I think it's just cool for the sport and cool for sailing to have someone come in with fresh new ideas. Like it's quite interesting through the year. There's like a bunch of discussions. There's like, why you guys aren't doing this? And it was like, well, we're used to having a sailing event where you're trying to do so much social media as possible. You're trying to get people to talk about it all the time. And they were like, well, no, we're filming a documentary here. We couldn't really care less about doing your Instagram story.
Right.
I'm kind of vulgarizing it a bit, but it's quite interesting to have the completely different views on doing the same thing, basically, and having new, fresh ideas coming into the sport. It's cool.
I'm fully amped. I mean, if there's anything we can do to help pump that along, hey boys, we'll get behind that.
Yeah, I can honestly say that the minute you said the documentary, that all of our eyes just lit up, because the thought of sitting in a theatre and watching, a couple of hours around these things is just a dream come true. Pity our wives, but we, bar showing, Sam, that's the solution. But having a cinema with a bar, and you've got every sailor in the world there.
Yeah, I'll let you know, guys. Let you guys know when it comes out and how it comes out. I know in France they're doing on Canal Plus, which is basically French Netflix or French Amazon Prime, whatever you want to call it.
Love the accent.
Sorry?
I love the accent. Canal Plus.
Plus, yeah. I live my life in French now. I start speaking bad English and bad French. It's going badly for me.
That's right. It's a bit like Bice in my Spanish.
Or just my English, either or.
Anyway,
look, all seriousness, we're stoked for that. We can't wait to see it or hear that. So please, can you keep us in the loop with that one? And if there's anything you can do, just, let us know.
Will do.
Cool. All right, so the relationship with Leighton, how did that come about?
So they had an original skip. Their campaign started in 2018 with the Route du Rhum, Arthur Le Valiant, and a Class 40 campaign. They finished 4th.
Yep.
The following year, they carried on with the Class 40 and the Jacque Vabre and the Figaro with Arthur.
Yep.
And Arthur asked me to come do the Jacque Vabre with him. And then he ended up injuring himself and he dropped out. We did it with Fabien Delahaye, who was on Dongflame for the Volvo. Yes. And then last year, I became the skipper of their Figaro, and Arthur did the Multi 50, which was a Multi 50. So we were both skippers of Leighton. And then this year, just at the end of last year, they asked me if I wanted to become the skipper of their Multi. And so I've been the skipper of their Multi for this year. It's been an evolving relationship from being a co-skipper to a skipper of the small boat and a skipper of the big boat, and see what happens next.
And as a sponsor, they're receptive. They're very good to get along with. They come to all the events. They're very active. How's that work?
Yeah, I mean they're keen. They like it. They're learning sailing as well, and how to, as a company, to make the best out of sailing. They're a B2B company, so a lot of all their clients are other businesses, basically, so other sponsors in sailing.
Perfect.
So they use the boat. We do a lot of corporate sailing with clients and with potential clients, and it's also a company of 2,500 people in 13 countries. So they use it also to kind of bring everyone together and have something to follow. So they had like the Jacque Vabre, they had a virtual regatta competition between all the countries, and they had a leaderboard, and they said the country that wins gets the multi 50 coming to their country next year and things like that. So they use it internally as well as externally.
Bravo, Papua New Guinea. Bravo.
Hey, probably a really good opportunity here. I mean, excuse my ignorance, but what exactly does Leighton do? Where do they sit in the world?
So it's an advisory company. Their speciality is financing innovation in different ways, whether it's government subsidies, whether it's tax credits, whatever it is. There are different ways of financing innovation for companies which are multi-million internationals to startups, and so they've got a fairly wide spectrum of products, basically. But it's all around, if you've got an innovative product, how can they help you finance it with government aids or tax credits? So their biggest market in France and the UK for the last few years has been research and development tax credits. So if your company invests in R&D, you get a subsidy off your tax credits. So they've been working on that, and now they can develop it in other places.
Bicey, can you get his number and give him a call after?
No, I'm on the website now, just looking. 34 offices worldwide. So who actually won the competition, and where are you going next year?
Morocco. It's all right. It's not too bad.
Morocco. Good.
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Yeah, no, I mean,
a multi-hull is the ultimate corporate experience for the guests, I would imagine. I mean, you go super quick, yes, and you can stay away from the danger side of things, so you're not kind of all huddled into a cockpit. They must have the time of their lives, the guests.
I'm going to put this out there. I think the best boat for corporate sailing in the world is a multi 50.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that's better.
I would agree.
We've probably had 20, 30 people who have never been sailing before or done very little sailing, helming at 30 knots this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Awesome. How good is that? How good is that? It's the perfect setup, like for anybody that is listening, that is thinking about sponsoring, the business-to-business piece and that corporate element, the deals that we see getting done, it's amazing. And I can see the guests helming at 30 knots, and then you explain to them, can you explain to them that, this is 4 times faster than most boats that go, and you really are having the most insane experience?
Yeah, I mean, some of them get it straight away, and others just, what's 30 knots?
Yeah.
Sit there and don't even realise they're on a boat.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I can drive my car at 250 k's an hour, though. But so, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, I mean, the common denominator is you can take anybody on the boat, sailor, non-sailor, someone who's got their own Beneteau or someone who's never been on a ferry in their life, and they'll seasick, not seasick. They'll come off just ear smile, ear to ear, and love it. So, in terms of corporate hospitality, is not a lot better than a multi 50 or an ocean 50.
And for that matter, and it's a bit of a cliche, but you say you can't sit in the cockpit with Lewis Hamilton, right, on an F1 in an F1 car, but you can stand next to Sam Goodchild on the F50 doing 30 knots, and you'd argue that experience is, at least equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the plus point of our sport is you can get on the boat that won the Vendée Globe and drive it, or the multi 50 that won the Pro Sailing Tour and turn the handles and drive it as well. It's definitely what we can offer as our sport is you're not offering a box looking at a cricket match while the English get destroyed or a football match. You're offering an opportunity to give it a go yourself.
Love it.
Oh, nice one, Jay.
No, it's a cracker. So with the TJV this year, how was the race for you, mate? Like we obviously watched, but just from your perspective, how did it play out?
Good. It's positive.
Yep.
What's frustrating for us is we basically got off to a bad start. We lost 10 miles coming into Biscay.
Yeah.
And then the rich got richer, and that 10 miles became 200, and then we spent 2 weeks trying to get them back.
Yeah.
It was it's a little bit of frustration of like we should have been on the ball quicker, and we shouldn't have screwed up the first 12 hours.
Yeah.
But the positive I pull out of that is when you win the Pro Sailing Tour, if you look at how we approached the first event, the Pro Sailing Tour, and the last event, we were a lot more relaxed on the last event because you kind of get used to winning, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I don't want to say that in a bad way, but just when it's going well, you don't really look for solutions because it's going well. Mm. And when it starts going badly, that's when you start digging a bit deeper and looking for ways to go faster and get back into it. And what can we do to get out of the situation? So the positive of it is because we spent 2 weeks trying to catch up, we kind of opened the toolbox a bit more and tried to find ways of doing things. So that was positive.
Cool. Yep.
I wonder when you're in the TJV and you get into the trade winds and you're just cruising across the Atlantic and you're in that sort of that zone where you're just reaching along, do you ever sort of just stop racing for a second, just enjoy it? Like it, where you got warm water, warm sky, warm air, and you're just racing across an ocean doing 30 knots and in the trade winds, and you're about as happy as a man can be. You ever sort of take that, or are you too tired?
No, it's definitely there's 2 or 3 times you you need to take a little step back here and be like, this is cool. Yeah. We're currently on a boat going fast, doing exactly what we want to do in great conditions like this. You just got to take a little bit of time to appreciate this. Otherwise, it's going to come back to the whole thing about I'm trying to do the Vendée, but appreciate what you got today rather than just worrying about what you haven't got yet tomorrow.
That's it.
And it's exactly the same thing. You need to remind yourself to appreciate it time to time.
Did you ever, as you come on watch, catch your co-skipper winding in the fishing line?
No, but I have heard of people doing that on the Figaro Transat.
Don't laugh, gents. I've been on a boat during the Transpac with the fishing line out the back. So, but I'd imagine that just the poor old tuna just hanging out in the middle of the Atlantic sees a lure go past. What is that? A lure smoking past at 30 knots. I'll let it go.
Completely or the other way. He's sitting there minding his own business. Next thing you know, he gets hooked up by it.
I'll wait for the Figaros to come.
Yeah.
Or he's completely lazy and wait for the 580s.
wait for Don. It's on the bottom of the ocean.
One of the Sam, one of the things that is really weird is that it's sort of race season all seems to go off pretty similar times. So as Bicey just said, the Don with his little 580s going past, you got the minis, you got the old teams, you got the Imoccas, you got the open 40s, you got you guys out there, and they're half the time you're in the same race, but then there's also other races going on, and they all seem to cross just in that patch in the Atlantic. Have you ever woken up one morning or sort of looked up and gone, uh-oh, I didn't know you were out here, sort of like had a boat just come flying past and you've gone, Jesus, there's a lot of boats out here. Have you had that situation?
I think we bumped into the mini Transat 2 years ago on the Jacque Vabre when we were going down in the class 40s. Like, what are all these small boats doing?
Yeah.
And it's quite, because we went through the fleet where we saw the lead guys and then you see the back guys, and it's quite funny seeing the different ways they sail the boats. Generally on heel, which goes more and more upright and then windward heel.
Yeah, right.
Well, we have got a story about that. Russian mate decided to sail a straight line across the Atlantic, but go on.
Did you go past some of them? Heel it over more. Flatten it out.
You don't really want to give advice, do you? But
yeah.
Hey, actually, a question for you, Sam. you know, when we're in the dinghy world, when you're sailing on a dinghy course, you get plenty of time to banter. You know, like if you have a close tack or you're in a lee bow position, you can banter away with each other. You know, you can play a bit of the psychological game. You know, it's a bit like the cricket, you know, where the wicket keeper's always whispering in the batsman's ear just to try and throw him off the game. Do you, with the ocean races and stuff, do you have a program where you get on the radio and start the banter, or is it pretty dry?
I spoke to maybe one boat once during the Jacque Vabre. Like, maybe it's me that's boring, I don't know, but I know you kind of want to speak to other people than the people you're racing against. Like, you've got nothing nice to say. Better say nothing at all.
Well,
let's up.
No, we had a quick chat on the VHF. Just said hi, but
Okay.
you don't want to give too much away.
Oh, it's not about giving away. I think that, you know, there's opportunity there where you could say a few things, you know, just to try and put them off their game. I'd love to.
As you know, Sam, we're all about the banter here.
Yeah,
on
the banter.
On the show, and we love the banter.
Yeah.
So we'd like to see and or hear of a bit of banter. So we'll up that ante next year, eh?
Yeah.
I have to work on my banter for next year, yeah. Maybe when I'm on my own on the boat, it'll be a bit more. I've been looking for a bit more social interaction.
I mean, is it in French? Is it something that they do, or it's, you know, do they ever sort of just bait each other a little bit? Is it just not culturally done?
I'd say it's probably a long way down the list of things you learn to do when you're learning a new language. Is how to do banter without offending anyone.
Yeah. So it's particularly an Aussie thing, I suspect, Aussie pommy thing.
But you may have noticed, Sam, even as a first language, Jordan is pretty good at offending lots of people. So,
speciality.
Yep.
Imagine it as a second language. Oh my God.
Oh dear.
No, there's nobody offended. We genuinely don't say anything nasty to anyone. So, all right. Well, we're sort of getting close to the end of our time. What about coming up for you? What's the next bit of racing you've got going on, and what are you doing for the next few months?
So the boat's going in the shed tomorrow. I got a 2-month refit, and then we're going back in the water next year. We've got the Pro Sailing Tour, which will be from May till July. And then the Route de Rome. There's maybe the Dream Cup in the middle, which is going to be a practice race, solo practice race, and then the Route de Rome. So next year is a mix of Pro Sailing Tour and learning how to not get scared sailing single-handed on a multi-hull.
Yeah, yeah. How could you actually do that?
I don't know yet. We can speak in 6 months' time if you like. Yeah, I'll let you know how it's going. But it's something which is. I mean, I'm confident I've in a good place to do it. Like, I'm not jumping at the deep end. I've had the chance of sailing on a lot of these sorts of boats with a lot of experienced people. And at some stage you have to make the jump, don't you? So I'm confident I'll get there. But it's it's like I said earlier. Sailing a multi-50 across Atlantic isn't that complicated. It's like it's one of the most simple boats that exist. But doing it fast is where you have to try and find the kind of the right balance the whole time of going fast and upright.
With
Sam, just this will be a true. The answer to this question will give away your nationality and where you really fit into the world. During the time the boat's having the refit, are you working on the boat or are you going to the mountain skiing?
If I get my way, I'll be doing more skiing than boat work.
Okay, you're French.
I don't know what nationality.
It's finally happened. Get it done. I'll be back in 2 months.
Actually, let's be honest, we'd all do that if we could. But
yes, you're right.
One thing I do want to check, just if you are sailing on the boat single-handedly, I know if you've got one of those boats with two-way winches, the reversible winches, and they've got that system the French developed where if the boat you can automatically depower based on how far the boat heels. Are you allowed to run those sort of systems? Do you know the things I'm talking about?
Yeah, so it's called an Upside Up, which I think is quite a good name.
What's it called? Upside Up.
And upside up instead of, as opposed to upside down.
Upside up. Yep, got it.
Probably sounds better in French.
And it's very simple. It's not a backwinding. What, Bicey?
Probably sounds a bit better. Probably lost a little bit in translation. The French way might sound better.
I think it's quite good upside up. I quite like coming upside up. It suits me well. No, it's a pretty simple system, to be honest. Like it's not a backwinding winch. It's just a cam cleat. You know, your standard Harken cam cleat that you have on the main sheet in your laser, or not in your laser, but in any dinghy. And it's just got a little piston in the middle, which is on an air pump, which just flicks your rope out the cam cleat.
Yeah, right.
That's all it is. So, but it means you have to set it up to work, because you will know if you put 12 turns around a winch and put it in a cam cleat and you knock out the cam cleat, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it needs a little bit of setting up, and obviously if you don't put it in the system at all, it doesn't work at all. So, and it takes a bit of setting up, but the system's quite simple. And we just did a Transat delivery home, and we tested it, and it works well.
Yeah, but you're allowed to use that.
Yeah. No
perfect.
problem.
Yeah, so that sort of takes a little bit of the stress off you if you fall asleep, that you're not going to tip over, because if it works, then that you're just going to get a jerk awake and you'll be okay. I must admit, in my sailing career, I've found it. Don't laugh, Bicey. I've seen a few cam cleats that automatically let rope off anyway. Like you don't even have to punch through them. They just seem to let go. But yeah, it's a good idea. It's a great innovation. But like particularly say on a cruising boat, like the things that come off the racing fleet into the cruising world, that's a good one, that one. I like that one a lot. I haven't seen much of it. I've seen them, but I haven't seen them used. So, yeah, I was intrigued.
Yeah, well, no, if you're keen to see how it works, it's not very complicated. I can give you a little video on the boat and show you how it works. But it's something most boats don't need, do they? Because, there's a few multi-hulls and most of them are fully crewed, but on the short-handed world, it's a little system that takes a little bit of stress off. But, if fully crewed, you manage to capsize these things, even when there's two people on all the sheets all the time. So you've still got to be careful.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of videos and stuff, Sam, what's the best way people can track your progress, apart from going?
Nothing revolutionary. It's social media, Instagram, Facebook. I'm not very Twitter friendly, but yeah, Instagram and Facebook, kind of the main channels. Sam Goodchild. It's not too complicated. And I said to quite a lot of people, like I'm quite happy. Like I love my sport. I want to share it with as many people as possible. And really, if you have questions, if you want to learn stuff, like feel free to reach out and get in touch. I want to share my sport to as many people as I can. And I get a lot of people asking to come sailing. It's not always that easy, but if I can help with information or showing you how an upside up system works, or explaining how my sponsorship works so other people can learn from it, like I'm very open and happy to share what I have to get here to help more people to be able to do the same thing. Like it's how I've got here, is lots of people sharing, and I'm happy to share back what I can when I can. So awesome. Get in touch.
Again, one of the greatest things about our sport, the openness. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. All right, well, that's probably a good point, mate. It's, as always, it's a ton of fun having a chat with you. The only mistake you've made on this segment is just that last little bit where you're really open. So when we're next in France, we're all going for a yacht. We're not going to look. We're not going to just wait for videos, mate. We're out there, and we'll
It'd be a pleasure. Honestly, it'd be a pleasure.
The three of us lob up at your front door, suitcases. We're here, Sam. Where are we staying?
He'll stick us in one of the armours of the 50. That's where we'll be staying, I can assure you.
Go over there.
Yeah. But yeah, mate, ton of fun. We're super stoked for how it's going for you. I've got a suspicion you're going to go as far as you want. So we're pretty happy, and we're happy to keep chatting to you as much as you want. So, maybe you'll be the first third-time guest.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's good to chat to you. I'm not going to be able to listen to this episode because it's myself, but maybe I'll fast forward to the last 30 minutes and listen to that bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Beauty. Awesome, Sam. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, guys. Take it easy.
Good on you, buddy. Cheers. Well, we bang on about pathways quite a lot in bar karate and talk about how people got to where they got to. And again, another perfect example. And I think we're starting to build a real, reputation of getting the words across. And if you follow his career, it's quite cool. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, well, I think the coolest thing, BP, is he said, yeah, come for a sail on that Ocean 50. Can you imagine?
Well, he didn't actually say that. You did.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I invited myself on.
No, but and it's true. It's true. I mean, he's driven. He's got a passion, and he loves it. And he just
he's a good
not
guy.
afraid to. Yeah, absolutely. And I love the Oceans 50 thing. I think it's
yeah,
fantastic.
me too. Big fan, and congrats for Sam and his crew for winning the Pro Tour. Look forward to seeing how they go again. I will say, the bloke who he's chartered the boat off must love him too, because I reckon it's added quite a bit of value to the price because she's the dominant boat. So, yeah.
No question.
No question.
You hear?
All right. Shall we move on? Club event?
Yep. Go on.
Do you want me to say it? Obviously, last week, the Narrabeen, we talked about Narrabeen being destroyed by fire, which is a tragedy. And we reached out to find out if there was a GoFundMe page, because it's the obvious thing to see if they can help them out. So there is. And what we'll do is we'll share that on our website and on our Facebook, put it in our comments. But basically, if you go to GoFundMe and its code is 54DB85B3, but we'll publish a link basically. So if you do want to help out, you can help them out so we can get that club back up and running, because it is important for the people that are members and important for our sport that we do everything as a team.
And just one thing to mention, that currently the GoFundMe is sitting around 18 grand.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's it's really good, and big shout out to the community. And I'm just actually having a look on it now, and everyone's chucking in 100 here, 50 there. So the more we can get that out, and the more people who can chuck a bit of coin in, we can see Narrabeen Lake Sailing Club rebuilt.
Back up on its feet, and to the community, we're all behind it. So let's get in there.
Cool. Jack Lloyd, listener of the week. Bicey, you got one?
Jack Lloyd, we almost need a jingle for the Jack Lloyd.
I think we need a jingle.
We should get Josh.
This time of year, and the great one. Jack Lloyd, he loves the Pogues.
I thought you were going to say jingle.
Yeah.
So
He loves the Pogues. Does he?
the Pogues, big Pogues fan. So,
We all
or
love
Van
the
the Man,
Pogues.
Van Morrison. So I'm sure we could come up with something to really commercialise the podcast. And get in trouble with all sorts of different people and producers. Anyway, Chris Bolger is our listener of the week this week from Narragansett.
Well done, Chris.
A 62-year-old lifelong sailor, and you'll like this, Jordan. I think you two are pretty close here. 505s, windsurfers,
Yep.
1-tonners, 12 metres. But he sailed with Dennis. You didn't, Jordan.
No, that's true.
So he's got onto the theme, or not the theme, but the questions we've asked. Why is US sailing not on the podium anymore? Like, from such a dominant nation, through the 80s and through the 90s to where they are now. Of course, they're in a massive rebuilding phase. But he's trying to, well, he's not trying, he's doing it. He is introducing a athletic league for sailing in the US. So what they've done is basically studied a lot of the top skiff clubs in Australia and how that works and how it looks, and trying to apply that with a group of mates that he has over there into the US. And he's developed what is called the Narragansett Adult Athletic Sailing Association. And the core activities in F18s, which is a league that they've just set up, and they've had the first season. They have 2 funded scholarship boats, which kind of reduce the economic barriers for teams to enter and be part of it. But everyone should check it out, especially if you are on the northeast of the US or just the US in general, which is at sailnAAA.org. Check it out.
Very cool.
It's very cool. So congrats, Chris, on that, getting that up and running, and we want to keep seeing this thrive.
So NASA for short.
NASA.
Or-
NASA.
NASA.
Yeah. NASA.
Love it.
If you're a Kiwi.
Love
Yeah.
it.
So
No, very good. Love it. Yep, I love it too. Good on you,
he's
Chriso.
well, more than putting his toe in the water here, he's taken it on. So
Yep.
well done, Chris.
Yeah, good. Well, we can get behind that. Cool.
It just doesn't get boring, does it?
It's hot time with Bice.
Bye. Got the paper. Have you ripped your pants off yet?
No, I just let the scroll fall down. There's plenty of topics this week, Jen.
It's crazy.
But I had to choose a few, so we weren't here all day, all night for that matter. This week, I'm going with an NZ theme.
Uh-huh.
It is all happening across the Dutch bros.
Choice, bro.
Yep, it's sweet as, or not so sweet as for that matter. First of all, what's the date today? It is, we're recording this a little earlier than we're publishing. 1 day ago, it was meant to be this special general meeting at the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just pinpoint a few of these ones here. Jordan, I'm going to put it out to you. Have you read through the basically what has happened here with the
Yes.
special general meeting being cancelled?
Yes.
What's your take on it, buddy?
Wow.
Love it. Good answer.
It's so the special general meeting has been cancelled. There has been a press release stating that it's cancelled, that it's not going to go ahead. They're not going to pursue this avenue of approach, which sounds like that all the members are happy and are going to let it continue on. But I would say that's the exact opposite of the situation. Do you want me to go through what the reasons why they cancelled the SGF?
The reasons why, we don't need to go into the monetary side and it's 120 million, 80 million and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah. But
basically,
why? Yes.
So there's been a pushback. So the Jim Farmer, who's sort of led this, has given a bit of a press release saying there was a couple of things that really sort of pushed against going ahead. One is that, and what this is, if you ask me, is like the ultimate in brinksmanship, where you've got some pretty high-powered players who are just pushing hard on each other. So the first thing is Dolts has just said, if you don't let this happen, the team New Zealand will be bankrupt. It'll shut down.
Team's going to fold in 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months, right? Dolts has supposedly been, allegedly, according to the article we read, and the information we're seeing, is that allegedly been persuading the requisitioners to drop it because it won those threats, that they'll liquidate the team, it'll collapse if it goes ahead. The club didn't circulate to the members the statement from Farmer in support of their motion, so that was quite, and that was at the very start. He said that was what was happening. He said that months ago that the club has refused to circulate this. The fact that the meeting won't be held in one room, so it'll be very difficult to get members to participate in a vote. The fact that they're shut down because of COVID, and then those that are coming in over Zoom don't get a vote. It's basically
Doesn't Zoom have you can put the hand up though?
Of course you can. Yeah, it's easy.
Sure, they could allow that.
Little thumbs up.
Just count how many hands.
But basically, effectively what the Jim Farmer has said is that they've made it impossible to have a fair vote. That's basically what the underlying tension of it. And there's two ways to interpret the statement. One, that they're not pursuing this special general meeting and that everything's good to go. Or two, they're just getting their shit together and about to come back and go at it a different way. And I'm definitely in camp number two. It's pretty full bore. As we discussed last week, very passionate nation, New Zealanders. And I think if you did a poll of the New Zealand nation, I reckon you'd have 99% would say that they'd want to see the racing in Auckland Harbour again.
Mm-hmm. How about they did this poll, though? Would you like to see it in Auckland Harbour and lose? Or would you like to see New Zealand retain the cup by taking it offshore?
Well, it's interesting because, remember, my theory on the cup is just that it's a giant property scam.
So everything's sold in Auckland anyway. So
there's no money to be made.
There's heaps of space in Jeddah, I hear.
Yeah.
Selling up lots of sandals.
The other thing it also is it's a really good income generator for all the yards that work on super yachts and tourism and all that sort of stuff. So all that goes away. I think the issue will be that once they take it offshore, it'll never come back to New Zealand, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Like we've had it in Australia, 87, and once we stopped being involved, we're just never getting involved again. No one. There's not even the hint of groundswell of interest in Australia to put a team together, you know, and I think that's one of the things I haven't thought about. I can go either way on this, to tell you the truth. The whole argument about winning it, losing it, being on home waters, all those sorts of things. But to me, the industry, the pain that will be suffered within the marine industry in NZ if the cup is not there, by bringing all those super yachts down, but all those sorts of things is going to be immense. Immense. Same here in Australia, because there'd be flow-on effects to yards in Australia. You know, when people come across, I know I do a little bit of work with the super yacht industry, just, you know, in my real world, my real job, and you know, the interest around having the cup down in the Southern Hemisphere is very, very strong, because there's all these other flow-on effects. So it's a big decision, and I think the consequence of the decision, we're not taking a side, and we don't have I think, I'll be honest, if it was, on my personal view, is I'd much rather see it in New Zealand. We've got the chance to put the barge there. I'm not sure if it's in Jeddah or Ireland. In Ireland, no problems with the barge. That's definitely happening.
All about us, isn't it?
That's right. But in Jeddah, a barge...
It'll be a bit more difficult, you think?
Yeah, I think we could have some problems there, and we may get arrested at gunpoint. But in Ireland, we'd be claimed as heroes. You know, those
and
paddies
the
that love
gunpoint.
us, great blokes, great people. In New Zealand, obviously, there'd be a bit of backwards and forwards with the banter, but, you know, the Kiwis would be out there, love us. It'd be great fun. And, you know, obviously, we'd have to release long necks if we're going to do it in New Zealand next time with the beer. But beyond that, she's all good. Crates of long necks. If you're going to New Zealand for a beer, you've got to buy crates of long necks. That's how you go to the pub there. So just point that out.
So we've gone from special general meeting cancelled to crates of long necks. Going well.
Well done.
All right.
Jake. I thought your summary was fantastic.
I just wanted to say, I don't think it's the end of it.
No, yeah, agreed. Stay tuned. Next topic, 5th of December, just days gone past, has recognised the anniversary of one of the sailing greats passing away.
Yes.
Who was that man?
So 28 years ago, I think it was, from memory, Sir Peter Blake, the man that makes every New Zealand.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, was it? Okay.
Correct.
I'm younger than I thought. It's the man that the Red Sox. If that's why you see a lot of Kiwis wearing the Red Sox. Sort of super accomplished sailor. Old Sir Peter. He was, round the world, America's Cup, and then he was killed when doing some exploring and I think doing some environmental work, filming a documentary or something. I think from memory. So
South
just
America, yeah.
and great. I've met his wife and daughter. Geez, they're great people. I had so much fun talking to them. So I can't even imagine.
Not to mention his son, of course, who quite close to during Bulbo. But one reason for mentioning and quite aligned with the theme on this show is the pathways. I saw a note on Facebook this week by Phil Jamieson, Blood, as we all know him, and he reflected on how Sir Peter Blake opened up those pathways for him, and the amount of comments that from various people within New Zealand that Sir Peter opened the doors for is phenomenal. And so a shout out to all the Kiwis on that one. A big loss for the world of yachting. And this is something that's kind of maybe a little more in your wheelhouse here, Jordan, is I remember it was during the Volvo Ocean Race when we were in Sydney and we were about to depart, which would have been to do the Sydney Hobart, and Rob Mundell was giving the commentary. And it was only a few weeks after Sir Peter had been killed. And it was a great touching tribute, and all the skippers put out wreaths and all those sorts of things. But the one thing he did say is he wasn't a bad bloke, even though he was a Kiwi. Odie and Aussie could do it. And I didn't know you at that point in time, Jordan. But
It's something you would do.
the modern day Jordan would definitely say something. Sorry, mate.
No, that's
There's a
cool.
bit of a theme going on here.
No, that's cool.
No, it's all good.
We only
All
say
right,
it for
well done.
sticking with the NZ theme.
okay.
Big signing for Team New Zealand this week. Who was it?
Well, there was a bunch of people, wasn't it?
The big one, though. The big one.
Oh, Ashby.
Yeah, exactly. Another Aussie. Well, the Aussie.
Quasi.
Yeah. The Kuwazi.
Quasi.
So, they've named a few, but we're still missing two.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Do you know why?
Yeah, go on.
This is
Do you know?
this is getting serious now. So my sources tell me that there's a bidding war. As you know, we discussed are Pete and Blair going to sign with Team New Zealand, and we said no. That Oracle Larry has come in and has made a bid, and part of the bid was included half an island in Hawaii. You remember that? Mm-hmm. So there has been a counter bid. You will find that they have been offered a ski resort in Switzerland.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the South Island of New Zealand.
No. New Zealand haven't had a chance. They've offered them to rename the Cook Strait to the Pete and Blair Strait. That's where their offer
that's a
currently
nice one.
stands.
I thought they were going to offer them Invercargill.
But no,
I've been to Invercargill. Oh, that's a lovely place.
the resort, the ski resort of Davos in Switzerland is apparently on the table now for Pete and Blair. So it's a big game. It's 100% that Pete and Blair are leaving New Zealand to skipper one of the other boats, or they're staying.
You just make such good common sense with your commentary. But I tell you what, it'd be a
Basically,
tough choice, wouldn't it?
But based on the protocol, the way I read it, unless Larry's brought them a US passport, which I'm sure he has the power to do.
Yeah, no, retrospective passports.
They've pretty much got no choice.
No. Retrospective passports. So they've. I think that Larry created US passports for them 20 years ago when they started to emerge.
When they were born. But owning a US island in Hawaii is probably that puts them in good stead.
Yeah, but remember, Davos is the power of Davos is all the world leaders come there once a year for their economic forum. So for Pete and Blair,
to own the mountain there,
it can actually put them right to the very top of the world. So in terms of that opportunity, and I believe a Swiss passport. Once you've got a Swiss passport, that goes retrospectively back 3 generations, regardless. So. There's no pressure, so Pete and Blair are pretty much sorted, I think.
Well, it's showing that the Pete and Blair Strait, what was aka Cook Strait, is sort of not really standing up, is it?
Yeah, and there is one other. Yeah, well, I mean, it does. It's a pretty cool thing, A lot of people have thrown up there, as they cross from the south to the North Island. It's pretty common for chucking your guts across that strait. The rumor I've heard, and I'm not certain this is right, is that Pete and Blair are interested in colour. And that's the first sign that they might be leaving New Zealand, because obviously it's illegal to wear colour in New Zealand. It's either black or white.
Currently they're in greyscale.
In greyscale, that's right. And so they've been seen throwing a bit of colour around recently. We'll see them next week. We can ask. But, 100% they are leaving New Zealand or staying.
Okay, good. I'm glad we've cleared that up then. So, listeners, that's hot off the press. They are going or staying.
Yeah. All right, I've got 2 more, gents.
Yep.
Now, actually, I had a few to choose from here. One was to talk about the new schedule that's just been released with the TP52s. The other was to talk about the new format of racing for the 49ers and the 49er FX class with the short track world championships taking place in 2022, basically taking on stadium sailing in the skiffs. Or talk about season 3 of the Sail GP, how many events are going to be taking place.
Season 3. It's like a Netflix thing, isn't it? Can't wait for season 3 to come out.
Well,
get this, gents. 10 events will be taking place. They've named 8 of them. Still got 2 to go. So my question is, these guys, are they going to have time to do any other sailing, or basically they're now fully locked in Sail GP?
Fully locked in.
Won't be able to do anything else, right?
But it's down. It's so much down the model of Formula One. It's what everyone wants to see. It's what everyone wants to watch. And if they're serious about it themselves, then that's what they'll do. They'll fully immerse. So I'm all for it. I love it. I think there should be more events. Absolutely.
Yeah. Word on the street. I mean, it is an extremely tight schedule. Not only for the sailors, but all it does mean is actually there's less sailing, less training for the sailors, because literally as the boxes turn up, you're pulling them apart, you're getting the boats back together. As soon as the racing's done, you're getting it back in the box straight away. She's off to the next event. So is this a ploy for core boat builders to basically build a whole nother set of boats as well?
Good one. The other thing is not only 10 events, but 10 teams. So they're fully subscribed on teams.
Yeah.
Will there be other sailing? Yeah. The one weakness for the event is that everyone except the skippers is paid day rates. So no one's got a permanent contract. So everyone will be trying to find as much sailing as possible. Langford will still be able to break as many boats as he can. They'll still be out there sailing other events. If you're someone like Tom, this will be your main focus. I'm not sure for Pete and Blair. Tom and Nath. Well, Nath signed up now, but who's not how many phone calls do you reckon Slingers is getting right now from America's Cup teams that are based in Switzerland?
Well, he can't, right? It's the master stroke from Team New Zealand.
He can't, can he? That's right.
They've basically driven him out. He cannot compete in the next America's Cup.
Yeah, like that's crazy, isn't it?
He cannot compete.
We'll have to ask him how he feels about that.
Yeah. 10 events. It's going to be massive. They are, like you say, turning into the Grand Prix. The only next obvious manoeuvre is get rid of the rest of the crew, and it's just single-handed.
Yeah.
Well, we've touched on that already quite a few times.
Yeah, well, we mentioned it, so wouldn't be surprised if they'll take that on. Rightio, all done here, boys.
Okay.
We've got a couple of things that we have to bring up. One, I do think we need to get some sponsorship on board because we need to hire some IT security because we've been badly spammed this week. Badly spammed. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something called the SA Sailors League, and we are just we've been covered by that at the moment. So we need to get all that off our system. Our Facebook page has just been hacked by SA Sailors League.
I did notice that. I wondered what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, basically, I've made Harry Fisher an admin. So if you want to, by the time you do listen to this, you would have watched it live, you would have said, oh, geez, that was a great event, guys. Well done for putting that on. You would have said, congratulations to all the winners. The live stream was flawless and the commentary team was amazing, basically.
Yep. I'm sure that's the case. I can't wait. Cannot wait. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a ton of fun. Good luck to you blokes. Looking forward to seeing it. I love the fact that, with Harry's little video production company, that's going to be we're going to get some great footage, a great live stream. And
how do we watch it, Bicey?
It's too late. Just go to the SA Sailing League page, or it'll be, it doesn't matter now. The regatta's already been done.
Yeah, congratulations to
and thanks for all those live stream comments you were sending through. That was keep the banter alive. Speak of something biting you in the ass, right there it did.
and great commentary, boss.
Yeah, well done. Actually, lads, I do like BP. You've got musical ability and you can play music and do all those things. I love music. I've got zero ability. I can't play anything, but I do watch and listen to a lot of music. And I found an artist the other day that has the best name I've ever heard in my life on anything. Are you ready for this? And I just wanted to bring it up as general chit-chat to see if you think it's a good name. Have you guys heard of an artist called Holiday Sidewinder?
No. Holiday Sidewinder.
Holiday Sidewinder. A young lass. She sings, she sort of pushes the edge of, I guess you'd almost call it funny pop, comedy pop. But
is that sort of like, your first memory and the first street you lived in type of sort of arrangement?
It is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Your wrestling name is the last thing you ate plus the colour of your undies.
Yeah. And your porn name is your first pet and the suburb you live in.
You guys do realise that they're all just they're data mining those things when they stick it up on Facebook. So they
2 bananas plus 3 oranges equal 2 triangles. What's the answer?
It doesn't
mine. That's what it bloody means.
Yeah.
What they're doing with the name stuff is they're just getting your responses for to beat your passwords. So never fill those things out. Never. I do want to quickly mention, of course,
Holiday Sidewinder, though.
Yeah, fantastic. But if we ever have another created character, it's going to be called Holiday Sidewinder because that's just fantastic. So,
I better have a listen.
Yeah, Holiday Sidewinder, give it a go. Do want to mention we mentioned the laser worlds for the women, the Ilka 6, what do we call it? The IKEA 6.
IKEA 6s.
I love the IKEA name. I think that's a great one. We have to congratulate with Australia winning the Worlds there in Emma Plashart winning the Worlds. Obviously, most people think she's Belgian, but of course she is married or engaged to Maddie Wern. So and you know,
she's Australian now.
she spends most of her time in Oz. You know,
So we've taken her in. We've taken her under the wing.
she's at least 50% Aussie now. But yeah, so a massive congratulations to the Australian team there.
The Australian team, Matt and Emma.
But just from so Anne-Marie, who's not really serious about the Ilkers anymore, from what I understand from conversations I've had with her, end up coming fourth, of course. So one of our favourites on the show, of course, Mara Stransky, who we're very close to. Mara into sixth. So
that's good.
Coming on Baccarati helps you with your your IKEA 6 performances. Yep, Matty Wern come on to Baccarati just before the Olympics. Didn't do him any problems. So it's the secret. But yeah,
I'm hearing you.
Yeah, definitely. That was important that we get that out there. The other thing I did want to mention, another guest who came on the program, Woody from the 18s.
I was just
Woody
about
winning.
to go down this one. I think this is another example.
Another example. Last week,
Nailed it.
just smoked the fleet. I don't know if you guys have been watching the 18s at all. I watch a little bit of it. Woody's got some speed to burn. So another Baccaratian. Congratulations.
What a story. What a story that is.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that turning it on and off like a tap almost. Obviously, you try and keep the tap open full noise, but just the difference from 1 week to, well, he's always been at the pointy end, but the differential was out of this world.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it was I was just going to go
One of those days. It was one of those days.
I was going to go down the full coaching breakdown, that I thought I'd just shut up. I won't do the analysis. It's not that interesting for the listeners. But yeah, good day. Yeah, so cool. What else, boys? We got anything else?
The only thing really worth mentioning are our tees and hoodies. Hoodies, we've only got a couple left, gents. The tee, and just shout out to my mate in Ireland. We still cannot ship to Ireland for whatever reason. I have no idea. So I've got his hoodie sitting here waiting, ready to roll. We've had a slow trickle of T-shirts rolling out this week. So keep them coming, and we've got a couple of weeks, and we can get the rest out pre-Christmas, especially here in Oz.
Why can't we ship to Ireland?
Yeah, good question. We can ship to Northern Ireland, but not Ireland for some reason.
The what?
Should be. Yeah, I've tried ringing the chairman of Australia Post, but their phone was busy.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, I mean, worst case scenario, one of us will
there for the 5-0s.
One of us will definitely be attending the 5-0s, so we'll send correspondent over to the 5-0 world. So
One of us are, aren't we?
One of us is definitely going to go. I think we're 98% certain we're going to send a correspondent,
and we're 98% certain it's not you or me, beef.
I was going to say, I don't know anything about a 5-0. Wouldn't be worth sending me. What does this rope do? No, it's a main sheet, mate.
Yeah. Most people sailing 5-0 still go that. What's this rope do? There's a lot of rope. All right. Gentlemen, I know what I forgot. I've got a proposal. I've been thinking.
Here we go.
The Maxi big boat race, Sydney Harbour. Obviously, watched that live. There was a bit of live streaming going on. Great to watch.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. I've been thinking. It's all good. We get they get Gordon Bray on. He talks it up. Gordon's one of the great commentators. He does his research and he'll pull out some obscure fact. That's his shtick. I remember watching. He's a rugby commentator here. He pulled out. I was watching a rugby event once when he said, and a try was scored in 30 seconds, and he within 30 seconds he said that's the fastest try Australia scored since the 1974 match with Bob Ellis, who he scored it in 23. Like, he just pulls stats like that out. So he's quite good, like all those sorts of stats. That's his shtick. And so we're having a good listen to the Maxi Challenge, the big boats racing on Sydney Harbour, and I was watching them sail up and down, and there's unfurling and furling and bits going up, bits going down, and I was just thinking, gee, that's a complicated way to sail around the harbour. I wonder how a moth would go on this same course at the same time. So I reckon rather than the Big Boat Challenge, it should be called the Maxi Micro Boat Challenge, where we get an example of where things are. So they send the biggest boats out there. You've got your 100-footers, and then you've got your 12-footer racing around on its foils. I wonder which one will come home first. I'm pretty certain I know. But I reckon, or have a separate line for the moths. They should put the moths in the fleet is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm just wondering where the camera boats are going to go, because the moths will be at the bottom mark before the maxis get to the top mark.
So that's your assumption that the moths are going to smash them, which we all know they will.
But so you can use helicopters and all those sorts of things with it. This is how the world's changed, right? With the big maxi boats, and then with the moths, you just have all the little buzzing drones cruising around, and live streaming and people going on,
our good mate
posting on Instagram as they're going along.
Well, we mentioned Woody before from the 18s. I mean, he's effectively funded. He's provided a boat. He's provided all the camera equipment and all the drones and stuff. So that, all that live streaming coming off Sydney Harbour is a boat that I think basically Woody's paid for everything. So they do use the drones for that actual coverage. We're lucky. We're lucky the world's advanced so much. But for a bit of fun, I'd like to see the moths go onto the course. It'd be a ton of fun. I reckon it'd be interesting.
All right, Jets. Shut it down.
Okay, that's it.
Good on you.
Out.
Cheers, lads.
Good luck to everyone sailing this week.
Got it. Where am I starting now?
4th bar if you know.
A little time.
Righto.